Hello there. Welcome. Welcome to Today in History. My name is Sotonye Afiesi Nana. Let us roll back the blind to the year 1709. So, on this day, Samuel Johnson, often referred to as Dr. Johnson, was born. Who was Samuel Johnson? He was an English writer who made lasting contributions to English literature. As a poet, playwright, essayist, moralist, literary critic, biographer, editor, and lexicographer. So that's Samuel Johnson pictured here. Born on this day in 1709, died on the 13th of December 1784. Let's move on to the year 1819. On this day, French physicist Jean-Bernard-Léon Foucault, who introduced and helped develop a technique of measuring with extreme accuracy the absolute velocity of light and provided experimental proof that Earth rotates on its axis, was born. He is also best known for his demonstration of the Foucault pendulum, obviously named after him, a device demonstrating the effect of the Earth's rotation. He also made an early measurement of the speed of light, discovered eddy currents, and is credited with naming the gyroscope. Wow, so just one man achieved all these feats. So that's French physicist Jean-Bernard-Léon Foucault. Foucault is spelled Foucault, so not sure I'm pronouncing it correctly, so if you're French speaking or you know the correct pronunciation, let me know in the comments below. So it's Foucault. I pronounce it Foucault or Foucault. Correct me if I'm wrong. So on this day in 1819, Jean-Bernard-Léon Foucault was born. Let's move on to the year 1850. On this day, Congress, the United States Congress, passed the Fugitive Slave Law as part of the Compromise of 1850. So you'd be wondering, what is this Compromise of 1850? What's it all about? Okay, well, I'd expect that if you're American, you should know a bit about your American history. Because I don't expect anyone to know everything about your history. But for those of us who are not from the United States and don't know much about United States history, I'm going to read a bit about this Compromise of 1850. Now, the Compromise of 1850 was one of the most controversial elements of the 1850 Compromise and heightened northern fears of a slave power conspiracy. Okay, now it was a package of 5 separate bills passed by the United States Congress in September 1850. So that diffused a political confrontation between slave and free states on the status of territories acquired in the Mexican-American War. It also set Texas's western and northern borders and included provisions addressing fugitive slaves and the slave trade. A debate over slavery in the territories had erupted during the Mexican-American War, as many Southerners sought to expand slavery to the newly acquired lands and many Northerners opposed any such expansion. So essentially, the North was against slavery, to put it in black and white, and pardon the pun, the South was in favor of slavery because, they were making money from slavery, essentially. So this Fugitive Slave Law, it says that this is what the law states, Fugitive Slave Law. It required that all escaped slaves, upon capture, be returned to their masters, and that officials and citizens of free states had to cooperate. Abolitionists nicknamed it the Bloodhound Bill for the dogs that were used to track down runaway slaves. So that, in a nutshell, is what this Fugitive Slave Law was all about. The Compromise of 1850. So the Fugitive Slave Law was part of that Compromise of 1850. There were other things that were involved. Well, as you can see from this picture here, it gives you a snapshot of the United States as it was then in 1850. You had the Utah Territory, New Mexico Territory, California, Oregon Territory, Minnesota Territory, unorganized territory in the middle there, and obviously most of the states as they still are today to the left of your screen, and obviously Texas down there, unorganized territory in blue to the north of Texas as well. Okay, so let's move on to the next newsworthy item on this day. 1905, on this day, this lady called Greta Garbo was born. Who was Greta Garbo? She was an actress, best known for her portrayals of strong-willed heroines, most of them as compellingly enigmatic as herself. So she was born on this day in Stockholm, the capital of Sweden. So that's the beautiful Greta Garbo, who was born in who was born in Stockholm, pardon me, on this day in 1905. 1931. What happened on this day in 1931? The Mukden incident. Now, this is quite interesting, part of Japanese expansionism. So, Mukden, which is a territory in China, was seized by the Japanese on this day in 1931. The Japanese army in Manchuria, or Manchuria, depending on your pronunciation, it's spelled Manchuria. This reminds me of the Manchurian Candidate, in which Denzel Washington played the lead character. I don't know whether that's connected to this historical event on this day. I suspect so. Anyway, go check out the Manchurian Candidate, and don't really have the time to go watch it right now, but yeah, if you know a bit about the Manchurian Candidate, leave me a comment. Yeah, so I'm going to read a bit more about this. So the Mukden incident, it was used as a pretext for the Japanese to expand basically into China. There was an explosion on a railway line. Japanese army in Manchuria used the pretext of an explosion along its railway to occupy Mukden and to increase its control within 3 months to all of Manchuria. So anyway, that succeeded, but not for long. 1932, on this day, Saudi Arabia, by royal decree, this was what happened. The kingdoms of Hejaz and Najd, pictured here, Hejaz in green and Najd in yellow, were united along with its dependencies, and they were united to form the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So that's what happened on this day. It's clearly, you can see from this picture, that is pretty much the territory of Saudi Arabia today. Okay, 1951. Then Carson was born. This guy is nothing short of a genius. I'm going to read a little bit about him. He is an American neurosurgeon, politician, full name Benjamin Solomon Carson. Born in 1951 on this day, he's also an American politician, public servant, author, and now retired neurosurgeon. He has served as the 17th United States Secretary of Housing and Urban Development since 2017. He was a candidate for President of the United States in the Republican primaries in 2016, at times leading nationwide polls of Republicans He's considered a pioneer in the field of neurosurgery. Now, a bit more about this guy. Carson became the director of pediatric neurosurgery at the Johns Hopkins Children's Center in 1984 at the young age of 33. He was the youngest chief of pediatric neurosurgery in the United States. Wow. He was also a professor of neurosurgery, oncology, plastic surgery, and pediatrics at the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. Carson's achievements include performing the only successful separation of conjoined twins joined at the back of the head, performing the first successful neurosurgical procedure on a fetus inside the womb. Now, I'm going to stop here for now and show you a picture of these conjoined twins. Absolutely amazing. Check this out, guys. Check this out. So, see these guys here? I'm not sure how this man was able to separate these two human beings. They're alive and well today. So these are the conjoined twins that Dr. Ben Carson separated successfully. The first time that it's been done successfully. He also, like I mentioned earlier, performed the first completely successful separation of type 2 vertical craniopagus twins, developing new methods to treat brainstem tumors and revitalizing hemispherectomy techniques for controlling seizures. He wrote over 100 neurosurgical publications. He retired from medicine in 2013. He was the subject of the 2009 TV film Gifted Hands, the Ben Carson story, where he was portrayed by Cuba Gooding Jr. So that's Ben Carson for you. Quite a lengthy CV, and for good reason. He's done very well for himself. This is somebody who worked hard as a young man. I have a slight idea of his beginnings. I think I started reading his autobiography some years back when I was back home in Africa, but couldn't complete it because I was very busy at the time. But he was encouraged to read by his mother, and I think he had some problems at the beginning, some reading difficulties if I remember correctly, but he worked hard, overcame those difficulties, and today he's one of the most respected neurosurgeons in the world. In his little beginnings, he was conscientious, he worked hard, and today he's a successful, retired, inspiring neurosurgeon. So, Ben Carson, born on this day in the year 1951. So, Ben Carson will be 69 today. Happy birthday, Dr. Ben Carson. I'm sure we all wish him well today. Okay, let's move on to the year 1954. Yet another genius was born on this day. His name is Steven Pinker. He's a Canadian-American psychologist. Full name, Steven Arthur Pinker. He's a cognitive psychologist, linguist, and popular science author. He's known for his advocacy of evolutionary psychology and the computational theory of mind. Pinker's academic specializations are visual cognition and psycholinguistics. His experimental subjects include mental imagery, shape recognition, visual attention, children's language development, regular and irregular phenomena in language, the neural basis of words and grammar, and the psychology of cooperation and communication, including euphemism, innuendo, emotional expression, and common knowledge. Wow. So that's the other genius for you today, Steven Pinker, born on this day, in 1954. 1961. On this day, James Gandolfini. Who is James Gandolfini? He is an American actor. Full name, James Joseph Gandolfini. He's late, so he was an American actor and producer. He's best known for his role as Tony Soprano, the Italian-American crime boss in HBO's television series The Sopranos, for which he won 3 Emmy Awards, 3 Screen Actors Guild Awards, and 1 Golden Globe Award. So that's the famous Tony Soprano, James Gandolfini, his real name, born on this day in 1961. So happy posthumous birthday also to his family, who would be thinking about him, no doubt, on this day. Yeah, sure, he's done you proud, and he's given us his gift of acting. It's made us laugh, it's made us cry. James Gandolfini, born on this day in 1961, better known as Tony Soprano. Okay, let's move on to the next newsworthy event on this day, on the same day, 1961. So, same day that James Gandolfini was born, Dag Hammarskjöld, not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but I gave it my best go. He was the UN Secretary General, and he died in a plane crash. That crash generated much speculation. It says that the 2017 investigation found that it appears plausible that an external attack or threat may have been a cause of the crash, which took the life of the United Nations Secretary General Dag Hammarskjöld. So these are pictures of the wreckage from the plane crash that happened on this day in 1961. 1965. On this day, what happened? This guy, his name is Jimi Hendrix. He was born, rather he died on this day in 1970. He was an American rock guitarist who fused American traditions of blues, jazz, rock, and soul with techniques of British avant-garde rock to redefine the electric guitar in his own image. He died of an overdose of barbiturates in London. So that's Jimi Hendrix, who died on this day in 1970. 1971, so 365 days after Jimi Hendrix died, Lance Armstrong was born. Who is Lance Armstrong, you may ask? He is an American cyclist. He did his cycling professionally and became regarded as a sports icon for his 7 consecutive Tour de France wins from 1999 to 2005. So essentially, he was the one that won every single one of them consecutive, it says here. So yeah, so from 1999 to 2005, he won the Tour de France, the most in the event's recent history. In the event's history, actually, it says. However, Armstrong's reputation was tarnished by a doping scandal, and he was stripped of all of his achievements from August 1998. Wow, how sad. Onward, including his 7 Tour de France titles. Anyway, Lance Armstrong, born on this day in 1991. I don't know what the latest is on the doping scandal, but don't know if the drugs would have made a huge difference in his performance. Would he have gotten any medals? You know, I guess these are questions that we cannot fully answer. We don't know to what extent the drugs enhance his performance. I guess we'll never know. Anyway, 2014, last but not least. On this day, Scotland independence referendum took place. What was this about? The Scottish wanted to extricate themselves from the United Kingdom, which comprises Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales, and England. Okay, so for those of you who do not know, that's called the United Kingdom. Now, the largest country within the United Kingdom is England. The second largest country is Scotland. Third largest, I think, is Wales in terms of population now, not land area. And then the smallest is Northern Ireland. The Republic of Ireland is a separate country. It's not part of the United Kingdom. Okay, so these are the poll numbers, as you can see from your screen. Just take your time and read that. Yeah, so this was what happened on this day 6 years ago in 2014, the Scottish independence referendum, but it was rejected. So they didn't want to be independent of the United Kingdom. Interestingly, the younger generation were more for independence than the older generation, as you can see from this picture here. Okie dokie. On that note, we shall end today's Today in History. This is one of the Scottish ministers. Not sure what his name is. Someone waving the Scottish flag with the European Union stars as well. So obviously they want to be part of Europe and not part of the United Kingdom. Okay, I shall see you tomorrow for another interesting edition of Today in History. My name again is Sotonye Afiasimama. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. It helps with the YouTube algorithm, helps push my videos to more viewers, and enables me make better videos as well, because obviously the more people watch my videos, the more I'm likely to qualify for the YouTube partner program, where I'm going to get paid, and then I can buy equipment, I can make better videos, and it's all good all around. Okay, thank you again. I appreciate you watching this video. I shall see you hopefully tomorrow for another edition of Today in History. Bye-bye.